Hi, this is Jake Norley back with another update from Creative Minds. We've been talking about how to create a product that customers want. And in the previous video, we talked about what not to build. It's very important to kind of refine everything down into a small box. But now, today, we're gonna talk about what's in that small box. What should you be building? And what we call the most important thing to build, we call that the path to value. The path to value is essentially the path through your software, your service, your product that is creating value for the customers. What is the path that they need to take? What are all the steps that they need to do to get value out of your product? And when we're building something from scratch, a lot of people will say, MVP, minimum viable product. And viable is really talking about, is this viable in the marketplace? If we put this out there, will people start using it? I like to talk about the minimum valuable product or most valuable product. What is the valuable piece of the product that creates the value for the customer? Why are they using it? What is the goal they're trying to achieve? And how do they achieve that through the software? So when you're building an MVP, you need to focus on what is that path to value? At what point are they receiving value from using your software? When you look at the path to value, you can actually extend the path to value to include the development time and the product time to say, how long is it gonna take us? What's our path to create that in the product to deliver it to the customers? What are the steps we need to take to get to that point where we can engineer it, we can deploy it to a production environment, we can have somebody create an account, log in and start getting that path to value. So when you think about the path to value, that's in the product, but that's also what you actually as an organization need to do to create that path to value. It's the path you take to create that value. So actually two sides of the path to value as well. There's the path to value for the customer, but ultimately as stakeholders in a product, you're trying to create value for yourself, right? You're building this product, you want to serve your customers. With serving your customers, you're not doing that, pro bono. You're not going out there and creating the service for free just to help the world. Or maybe you are, if you're nonprofit, but in many cases, you're trying to get value as well. And so the other part of the path to value is the path to value for your stakeholders lies immediately on the other side of the path to value to the customers. And you should put that second, right? You create the path to value for your customers, for the marketplace, for the world. Once that path to value has been achieved and people are getting value out of the product, then the next step is getting the value for the customer. And those things go hand in hand. When we are participating in a market, we're exchanging value, right? Your customers are going to give you monetary value. They'll pay you for the product. You're giving them value in, improving the processes, solving a problem, doing something that they could not do before through the product, right? So when we talk to path to value, they kind of go hand in hand. What is the path to value for the customer? And then what's the path to the value for the stakeholders, for the product team to get value out of that product, right? So when we talk about the path to value for stakeholders, a lot of times people talk about freemium, like a freemium service. You're creating a freemium service and it's like, well, we're paying for the customers to use this service. If they're getting it for free, they'll never pay us. And that's, to me, okay to have a freemium service. I know a lot of people are like anti-freemium service, never works. It works in a lot of cases. And so when you look at the path to value for freemium, the nice thing about freemium is that somebody can test out that path to value before committing to a product. And when we look at product adoption, there's this kind of cycle of, a user will adopt the product. If it solves their problem, they'll come back and they'll invest in it. They'll, configure it more. They'll put more time into making it so it solves their problem even better, right? But to get that investment from them, they actually need to get to that value very quickly. And so freemium allows them to get to that value and then come back and invest in it. And so when we look at the path to value for a freemium product, there's two things. One, if you provide a freemium service, part of the value that you're gonna get back from freemium users, everybody in the free tier, should hopefully be enhanced distribution. If I've got 1 million free users that aren't paying me anything, I've got to pay to support that. What could they give me in return? Well, for the product, that might be they're telling their friends, they're inviting people to the platform, and they might be free users initially. But if we go back to that investment that they're making, because they got it for free, they're coming back and investing more time, more energy. At some point, you should have a tier that's easy for them to cross over, right? Once they've gone through a couple of those rounds of investing in using the service, that's when they hit that limit and then they become a paid user, right? And so when we look at designing freemium services, you need to see what's that investment that they're coming back to make. Maybe they get something for free once, but if they have a team, if they invite other people, we want that to be free. But if the team gets to some level of use, that's when they start paying, right? So when you look at the path to value for freemium, it's really important to design that. And you want to design that path to value so that as soon as they get value, they can keep coming back and getting that same value. But if they grow, if they invest in that product, if they invest in their use of it, now we're coming back and we're getting to the point where now they're a paid customer, right? So during that initial stage, they might be sharing it here, there, everywhere. You're getting distribution for the free user, but at some point they've distributed it completely. They've invested in the product, and now that's when you're switching over and getting into a paid customer. You know, they've invited everybody that they're collaborating with. Maybe you've got one user that's invited 20 people. Now you got 21 people. Well, now their use is growing to the point where they're switching over and they're not inviting as many people, but now they're actually paying for the product. So when we talk about the path to value too, one of the things that we keep coming back to is you're never done with the path to value. You're never completely finished with that. It's the first thing you build, but it's the thing that you iterate on constantly. You're always looking for ways to improve that. A good example would be like Google search. If you look at the original Google search, you know, there's the I'm feeling lucky button and there was a search button, right? There's a simple text input and you got search results. You know, they could have been done there and said, hey, we got a search engine and everything's working. But the value comes in better search results, localized search results, auto-completing searches for common queries. You know, you look at that path to value, they built that day one. I entered some search terms, I get the value, I get those things, but you know, there's these incremental improvements that they're making over years and years and years, and they're never done with that path to value. You're always focusing on that path to value, right? And so from my perspective, once you have that path to value, you need to just keep looking at it, keep refining. How can we make this better? How can we improve? How can we get quicker to the value? Or how can we get more value at the end of that path, right? So that's the way we should look at our products, is what is that primary path to value? And going back to the Pareto law, we say, 80% of the features, or 20% of the features provide 80% of the value. That path to value is that 20%. Then that investment you make in that 20% of the product is going to give 80% of the value. And ultimately, that 20% is going to get 80% of the use as well, right? That's the main path that people are taking through the software. And so when you're building an MVP, remember, we want to build the minimum valuable product, and we want to focus on that path to value. But once we have the MVP out, we're not building other things. We're not solving adjacent problems yet. Remember, those are things we don't want to solve. We're just going to keep refining that path to value until, just forever, right? Like you just keep coming back. It's like an author would say, book never feels like it's done. You should just ship it. We're shipping the current version. We're continually updating that path to value. That's it for today. We have more videos in this series coming. Look forward to talking to you soon. We hope you enjoyed the video today. For more tips and best practices in software development, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like this video.